Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to Global Happenings Today YouTube channel. For a while now, the Supreme Court has been at the radar. Just fairly recently, Labour Party, Peter Obi have been talking about the final verdict of the Supreme Court that own Labour Party was not giving any verdicts. Rather, they joined issues with PDP to pass a verdict. They wanted a CTC. But apparently there is more. They've been disquiet. A lot of Nigerians have been, having doubts over how independent is the judiciary. Well, the controversial judgment and all that, the AGF have finally spoken concerning this matter. Well, before we go into the newspaper to find out the solution to these problems, we'd like you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button beside it. You say bell notification icon, please go ahead. Click on it to get notified as soon as we update our channel on YouTube. Now, according to the news, perturbed by as part of conflicting judgment emanating from the judiciary, the federal government on Tuesday pledged to embark on a holistic reform of the justice system in the country. Now, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, made the disclosure after he flagged off a 2-day meeting of the body of Attorney Generals, that's BOAG, in Abuja. Now, through Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, though Fagbemi acknowledged that complaints are mounting over recent court judgment, he, however, dismissed the insinuation that public confidence in judiciary is at its all-time low. Now, fielding questions from newsmen, the AGF said, "Let me appreciate the fact that there have been some complaints. The extent of it is what I will not agree with. Public confidence in the judiciary is not at its all-time low. You see, when you have about 10 situations and you have a problem with one, the tendency of some of our people is to use that one to judge the entire situation. Do not forget that the Federal Ministry of Justice is also a critical stakeholder, but not the only stakeholder. I am not giving any excuse. All I am saying is that we will do our utmost best to holistically address all the gray areas." On the proposal for the separation of the office of the AGF from the Minister of Justice, Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, said the issue would be revisited at the right time. When the time comes, I quote him word for word, so when the right time comes, or when the time comes, we will discuss it. I don't want to give any personal views. It has been on the table for quite some time. At the time, it was rejected for reasons advanced. So when the time comes, my colleagues and I will discuss that and bring input of people who are so well informed and well positioned to see what happens in other claims and see whether our situation should be different or if we should follow others, he also added. Now, meanwhile, earlier in his remarks at the opening session of the meeting, the AGF decried the rising death profiles of both the federal government and the governments of all the 36 states of the Federation. Let me quote him word for word, said, "I also need to comment on the increasing rising death profiles of the government at all levels, which pose serious danger and challenge to our national economy and existence as an independent nation." The Federal Ministry of Justice has, against the backdrop, initiated a collaborative framework with the specialist firms to enable legal officers involved in the drafting MOUs and other forms of binding agreements acquire required skills to identify possible areas of dispute or liability which could lead to avoidable litigation or arbitration costs and judgment debts. We are willing to extend the support to legal officers in the various states in order to strengthen their capacities in this regard. He also said, as you all know, ours is a federation founded on constitutionalism and rule of law, and our respective offices play very critical constitutional roles in enhancing its effectiveness and functionality and stability. The main agenda of this meeting, therefore, is on how we can regularly and effectively use the instrumentality of the platform of this body to solve problems and frictions arising from our shared constitutional and statutory responsibility as a federation, particularly on critical issues for which the federal and component states may have divergent views. Now, the second issue that I need to speak on is on how we can strengthen the entire justice sector, particularly the administration of criminal justice sector, in order to meet the end goals of justice and expectations of our citizens. This objective is very critical and key to the realization of our mandate as chief law officers within the Nigerian Federation. As we all know, the effectiveness and functionality of the justice system has direct effect on the overall development, stability, and sustainability of any country or society. Arising from the foregoing, I urge my distinguished colleagues to ensure the full implementation of financial autonomy for the judiciary across our states as provided for under Section 121, subsection 3 and 4 of the Constitution as a mark of our true and holistic commitment to the ideals of democracy and good governance. We should, in this regard, seek to robustly build the capacity of the judiciary, both in terms of personnel and infrastructure, particularly by investing in technologies that are necessary to automate vital aspects of our court operations and ultimately implement a digital justice delivery system. Distinguished colleagues, the need for improvement within our judiciary and judicial and justice sector institutions and practices is non-negotiable. Access to justice goes to the very heart of what our mandate entails. So, we will in this regard critically look at the major policy documents that would lead us to this goal, namely the revised National Justice Policy 2024 to 2028, which we hope will be considered and adopted at the National Summit on Justice. Now, the FMOJ is making plans with relevant stakeholders to convene a National Summit on Justice to, among other things, engage all justice sector stakeholders to constructively look at how far we have gone in the implementation of the 2017 to 2022 policy documents. We will in this regard seek to examine current challenges within justice sector institution with the objective of supporting critical reforms necessary to build a resilient justice system, facilitate adherence to rule of law, respect for fundamental human rights, and ultimately build public confidence in the entire justice sector. Next in the line of our engagement is the necessity to constructively work with the legislative arm of government. I encourage you all to actively engage the legislative arm of government in two major aspects. Firstly, in the area of reform of existing law, wherever necessary, and secondly, in developing new legislations that will address critical gaps, particularly within our justice sector, institutions, and beyond, the AGF stated. On her part, the Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Beatrice Jedi Agba, said the existence of the meeting was for AGS of the various states to interact with the AGF so that they can build consensus on how the justice system could be strengthened. You will agree with me that the last few months have called for major interactions between stakeholders in the justice sector in order to devise creative solutions and responses to some of the high-level challenges being faced in Nigeria today. These include issues relating to security, curbing the proliferation of crimes, particularly as it relates to gender-based offenses, plus the gaps in our anti-corruption mechanism, and improving access to justice for citizens. While it is undoubtedly that these challenges have an extensive impact on socio-economic lives of citizens, it is my firm belief that together we can harness creative and innovative legal responses to address these challenges and ensure sustainable development, peace, and access to justice for all, she added. Aside from AGS of the 36 states of the Federation, equally in attendance of the meeting were chairmen of judiciary committees in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, M.T. Mogono and Olushola Osoba, respectively. Wow, you've heard it all. Let's hope that they will be able to do something very meaningful, and truly judiciary will be independent. That's going to go and wrap it up. Let's meet in the comment.